The emergency beacon cut through the silence of deep space like a scream in the night. Captain Zura Okonkwo felt her blood run cold as the distress signal flooded the bridge of the human exploration vessel Defiant Hope. The message was garbled, transmitted in the universal emergency frequency that every spacefaring civilization agreed to monitor. But what chilled her wasn't the technical details. It was the desperate pleading in an alien voice she'd never heard before. "Captain, the signal is coming from the Kepler 442 system," reported Lieutenant Commander Singh, his dark eyes reflecting the orange glow of the navigation display. "That's deep in what the Galactic Council calls the Forbidden Zone." Zara leaned forward in her command chair, studying the tactical display that showed their current position relative to the distress call. The Kepler 442 system sat in a region of space that most civilized species avoided, a lawless frontier where pirates, slavers, and worse things prowled among the asteroid fields and dead worlds. 3 months ago, the Galactic Council had issued a stern warning that no military vessel should enter that sector due to increased hostile activity. "How many ships are in range to respond?" she asked, though she already suspected the answer. Singh's fingers danced across his console, sending queries to the Galactic Communication Network. The reply came back within seconds, displayed in the harsh red text that indicated system-wide emergency protocols. According to the emergency response grid, there are 17 vessels within range, Captain, 12 Valerian cruisers, 3 Zalani research ships, and 2 crystalline merchant vessels. "And how many are responding?" The silence that followed was answer enough. Singh cleared his throat uncomfortably. "None, Captain. The Valerian ships are claiming mechanical difficulties. The Zalani vessels report their medical supplies are insufficient for rescue operations. The crystalline merchants." He paused, checking his display again. "They've gone completely dark. Transponders off." Zara felt a familiar anger building in her chest. She'd seen this before during her 15 years serving with the Human Defense Fleet. Whenever trouble erupted in the darker corners of the galaxy, when pirates struck at defenseless colonies or when slavers raided refugee convoys, the same pattern emerged. The civilized species of the Galactic Council always found excuses to look the other way. "What's our status, number 1? She asked her first officer, Commander James Park. Park consulted his datapad, his expression grim but determined. "We're at 73% combat readiness, Captain. The repair crews finished work on the forward plasma cannons yesterday. Our Marine complement is at full strength. 200 soldiers ready for deployment. Medical bay is stocked for major trauma cases. Distance to the distress signal? 18 hours at maximum burn, Captain." Zara stood up, pacing to the main view screen that showed the starfield ahead. Somewhere out there, beings were dying while the galaxy's peacekeeping forces invented reasons to stay safely away. She thought about the human colonies that had been abandoned to their fate when the Zalani plague hit Proxima Centauri 5 years ago. She remembered the silence from the Valerian fleet when human refugees fleeing the corporate wars needed evacuation from New Geneva. The galaxy had learned to fear humans in the century since first contact. They called them brutal, savage, impossibly violent. When diplomacy failed and civilized solutions proved inadequate, everyone expected humans to do the dirty work. But when humans actually needed help, when human civilians faced disaster, those same civilized species suddenly discovered pressing commitments elsewhere. "Captain," Park said quietly, "we all know what you're thinking. But if we respond to this call, we'll be going in alone. No backup, no support." Intelligence suggests the Draktar Syndicate has been operating heavily in that sector. The Draktar Syndicate. Even the name sent shivers through most spacefaring species. They were one of the galaxy's most notorious criminal organizations, a loose confederation of the most vicious pirates, slavers, and mercenaries from a dozen different worlds. Their ships were heavily armed, their crews utterly ruthless. They took no prisoners except for the slave markets, and they've been known to torture entire crews to death for sport. "Casualties could be severe," Park continued. "We'd be outnumbered, outgunned, and fighting on their home turf." Zara turned back to her crew, seeing the faces of men and women she'd served with for 3 years. They'd been through hell together. The Rigel campaign, the defense of Luna Base, the hunting expedition that finally cornered the pirate Lord Krexhai in the Vega system. They were good people, brave people, and she had no right to ask them to throw their lives away on a rescue mission that might already be too late. But then the distress signal played again over the bridge speakers, and this time the universal translator managed to parse more of the alien language. The voice belonged to someone young, a child, maybe, or the equivalent in whatever species was sending the message. The words that came through were heartbreaking. Please help us. They're killing everyone. My mama is gone. Please, somebody help. The bridge fell silent, except for the quiet hum of the ship's engines. Zara looked at each of her officers in turn, seeing her own thoughts reflected in their faces. Singh, the brilliant navigator whose family had fled Earth during the resource wars. Park, the steady first officer who'd lost his sister in a pirate raid when he was 12. Chief Engineer Martinez, whose daughter was the same age as whoever was sending the distress call. So, Zara said finally, once again the brutal humans are the only ones willing to respond when people are dying. She walked back to her command chair, settling into it with the weight of decision. Number 1, plot a course for Kepler, 442. Maximum burn. All hands to battle stations. Park nodded grimly. Aye, Captain. Should I send a message to Fleet Command? Tell them we're responding to an emergency. If they want to countermand the order, they can try. But something tells me they'll be mysteriously slow to respond to our transmission. She smiled without humor. Seems to be going around lately. As the Defiant Hope changed course toward the distress call, Zara pulled up the tactical files on the Kepler 442 system. 3 planets, 2 of them gas giants, one a rocky world that barely qualified as habitable. Dozens of asteroid belts perfect for hiding pirate bases. And, according to intelligence reports, at least 4 major Draktar facilities somewhere in the system. She was taking her ship and crew into what could easily be a death trap. The smart play, the civilized play, would be to file a report with the Galactic Council and let them form a committee to study the situation. In 6 months, they might vote to authorize a fact-finding mission. In a year, they might consider sending a peacekeeping force to investigate the area where the distress call had originated. But by then, whoever was crying for help would be long dead. Zara keyed her communicator to address the entire ship. Attention all hands, this is the captain. We have received a distress call from the Kepler 442 system. Intelligence indicates this is likely a hostile situation involving the Draktar Syndicate. We are the only ship responding to this emergency. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I won't lie to you. This mission is dangerous. We're going in without support, against an enemy that has shown no mercy to prisoners. Anyone who wishes to log an objection to this mission may do so without penalty. Your concerns will be noted in the ship's official record. She waited, but no objections came through the communication system. I'm proud to serve with each and every one of you, she continued. Today, we'll show the galaxy what humans do when others won't act. We'll show them why they call us brutal, because sometimes brutal is exactly what innocent people need to survive. All departments, begin combat preparations. We reached the Kepler system in 17 hours. Bridge out. As the ship hummed with activity around her, Zara stared out at the stars ahead. She thought about the human colonies that had been abandoned by their allies. She thought about the refugee ships that had been left to die because helping them might provoke dangerous enemies. She thought about all the times the galaxy had been perfectly willing to let humans handle the bloody, dangerous work of keeping civilization safe. Well, they were about to get what they asked for. The Defiant Hope raced through hyperspace toward Kepler 442, carrying 200 Marines and a crew determined to prove that sometimes the galaxy needed its brutal humans to do what needed to be done. Whether any of them would survive the attempt was another question entirely. Behind them, 17 other ships continued on their safe, civilized courses, their crews no doubt sleeping peacefully in the knowledge that someone else would handle the dirty work. As always, the Defiant Hope dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system like a predator entering hostile territory. Captain Zura Okonkwo gripped the arms of her command chair as the ship's sensors immediately began cataloging threats. What they found made her stomach clench with a mixture of rage and grim determination. Captain, I'm reading massive debris fields near the 3rd planet, reported Lieutenant Commander Singh, his voice tight with controlled anger. Multiple ship signatures, but they're cold, ma'am. Dead in space. The main view screen shifted to show a magnified view of the planet's orbital space. What had once been a small convoy of refugee ships now drifted in pieces among the asteroids. Zara could see the distinctive hull patterns of civilian vessels, colony transports, medical ships, even what looked like a school ship designed to carry young beings between star systems. "How many ships?" she asked, though she dreaded the answer. 7 confirmed vessels, Captain. All destroyed within the last 12 hours. I'm reading trace signatures of Draktar weapons, heavy plasma cannons, fusion torpedoes. This wasn't a battle, ma'am. This was a massacre. Commander Park leaned over his tactical display, his jaw set in a hard line. Captain, I'm detecting at least 3 active Draktar ships still in the system. 1 heavy cruiser, 2 assault frigates. They're operating near the asteroid belt, approximately 40 million kilometers from the debris field. Any sign of survivors? Singh's fingers flew over his console, scanning for life signs among the wreckage. I'm picking up faint signals from 2 locations, Captain. One appears to be coming from a section of what used to be the colony, Transport New Dawn. The other, it's coming from the planet's surface. Zara stood up, studying the tactical display that showed the positions of both the enemy ships and the survivor locations. The Draktar vessels were positioned perfectly to intercept any rescue attempt. They knew someone might respond to the distress call, and they were ready for it. Analysis number 1. Park highlighted the enemy positions on his screen. Classic ambush formation, Captain. They've got overlapping fields of fire covering both survivor locations. If we move to assist either group, we'll be caught in a crossfire. The smart tactical move would be to withdraw and request reinforcements. Reinforcements that aren't coming, Zara said flatly. No, ma'am. They're not. Chief Engineer Martinez's voice crackled over the intercom from the engine room. Captain, I'm reading something else down here. The distress signal is still transmitting, but it's been modified. Someone's broadcasting coordinates. Not just a cry for help, but specific locations where survivors are hiding. Zara felt a cold smile cross her face. They're not just asking for help. They're giving us intelligence. Brave little souls, whoever they are. She activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We have confirmed multiple survivor locations in hostile territory. 3 enemy vessels are waiting for us to make our move. She paused, looking around the bridge at her crew. These people had followed her into impossible situations before, but this was different. The Draktar Syndicate didn't just kill their enemies, they made examples of them. Captured crews faced torture that could last for weeks before death finally came as a mercy. I'm going to give everyone one more chance to voice concerns about this mission, she continued. We're about to engage a superior force to rescue survivors that most of the galaxy has already written off. The odds of success are poor. The odds of survival are worse. She waited, listening to the sound of her own breathing in the silence that followed. Then, from a Marine barracks, came a voice over the intercom. Captain, this is Sergeant Major Rodriguez. The Marines have a message for you. There was a pause, then the sound of 200 voices speaking in unison. Semper Fi, ma'am. Let's go get our people. One by one, reports came in from every department. Engineering was ready. Medical was prepared for massive casualties. The flight deck crews had the shuttles armed and ready for combat drops. No one was backing down. Zara felt a familiar tightness in her chest, part fear, part pride, part the terrible responsibility of command. Very well. Battle stations. Commander Park, I want options. Park pulled up a 3-dimensional tactical display showing the system layout. We have 2 choices, Captain. We could try to take on all 3 ships at once, which gives us the element of surprise, but terrible odds. Or we can try to divide their forces by threatening one survivor group while secretly moving to rescue the other. What about a third option? Asked Singh. We could use the asteroid field for cover, try to take them one at a time. Too risky, Park replied. These aren't pirates flying converted cargo ships. Draktar vessels are purpose-built for combat. Their sensors can track us through the asteroid field, and they know the local space better than we do. Zara studied the display, her mind racing through possibilities. Every option looked like a recipe for disaster. The Draktar had chosen their position perfectly. They could destroy the survivors before any rescue ship could reach them, and they had enough firepower to obliterate the Defiant Hope in a straight fight. But then she noticed something in the tactical data that made her pause. Sing, show me the debris pattern from the destroyed ships. Full analysis. The view screen shifted to display a detailed breakdown of the wreckage. Sing highlighted different sections in different colors. Hull fragments, engine components, life support modules scattered across several thousand cubic kilometers of space. Most of the debris is consistent with a standard attack pattern, Singh reported. But look at this. He highlighted a section of wreckage that seemed oddly positioned. This piece of the New Dawn is too far out. The blast pattern doesn't match. It's almost like it was positioned deliberately, Zara finished. Those survivors aren't just hiding, are they? They're smart enough to use the wreckage as cover and smart enough to keep transmitting intelligence. What species are we dealing with here? Singh pulled up the registry information for the destroyed convoy. According to the shipping manifests, the convoy was carrying Kethani refugees, Captain. They were fleeing a civil war on their homeworld. Zara's estimation of the survivors went up another notch. The Kethani were known throughout the galaxy for their intelligence and resourcefulness. They were one of the few species that had actually requested human military advisors during their recent conflicts, recognizing that sometimes survival required more than diplomatic solutions. Captain, Park said urgently, I'm detecting movement from the Draktar ships. They're beginning to spread out, probably trying to get better coverage of both survivor locations. Time to make our move, Zara said. But we're not going to play their game. Singh, can you give me a detailed scan of that debris field? Already working on it, Captain. I'm reading multiple hull breaches, but also some sections that could provide significant cover. If we could get close enough. Zara smiled grimly. Number 1, I want you to prepare the Marines for an unconventional deployment. We're not going to try to outfight 3 heavy warships. We're going to do what humans do best, which is we're going to get so close and personal that their advantages become liabilities. She turned to address the helmsman. Ensign Walker, plot a course directly through the debris field. Maximum stealth mode, minimal engine signature, passive sensors only until we're in position. Park looked skeptical. Captain, navigating a debris field at combat speed is extremely dangerous. One collision with a major fragment could cripple the ship. Then, it's a good thing we have the best navigator in the fleet, Zara replied, nodding towards Singh. Besides, the Draktar won't expect it. They're used to fighting civilized species that value their ships more than the people they're trying to save. She activated the ship-wide communication system again. All hands, this is the captain. We are beginning our approach to the survivor locations. We will be using unconventional tactics that may result in significant ship damage. Damage control teams, stand ready. All personnel, not essential to combat operations, report to emergency stations. The Defiant Hope began its run toward the debris field. Engines throttled down to minimum power. On the main view screen, the scattered remains of the Kethani convoy grew larger. Each piece of wreckage a reminder of lives already lost. Captain, Singh said quietly, I'm getting a new transmission from the survivors. They're warning us about additional Draktar ships moving in from the outer system. It looks like this wasn't just an ambush for rescue ships. It was bait for a much larger trap. Zara felt her blood turn to ice as the tactical display updated to show 3 more enemy vessels approaching from beyond sensor range. 6 Draktar ships total, all converging on their position. Well, she said with dark humor, I suppose this is where we find out just how brutal the galaxy really thinks we are. The Defiant Hope ghosted deeper into the debris field, her crew preparing for a battle that would determine not just the fate of the Kethani survivors, but whether the galaxy's brutal humans were as unstoppable as their reputation suggested. The Defiant Hope slipped through the debris field like a ghost ship, her engines barely whisper quiet as massive chunks of destroyed vessels drifted past the viewports. Captain Zura Okonkwo watched the tactical display with the focused intensity of a predator, timing their approach to coincide with the movement of the largest debris pieces. Distance to the first survivor location? She asked softly. 2,000 kilometers and closing, Captain reported Singh. The survivors are definitely Kethani, and they've done something remarkable. They've managed to link together several life support modules from different ships. They're not just hiding. They've created a functional space station from the wreckage. How many survivors? Reading approximately 40 life signs, Captain. Mixed ages, including at least 8 juveniles. Commander Park studied his tactical display with growing concern. Captain, the Draktar ships are adjusting their positions. I think they've detected our approach. Let them come, Zara said grimly. Singh, put me through to the survivors on a tight beam transmission. The communication system crackled to life, and a voice spoke in the melodic tones of the Kethani language. The universal translator rendered it into crisp English. Unknown vessel. This is Kethani, civilian Thara Teldan, acting commander of the survivors of convoy designation homeward bound. Are you here to rescue us, or to finish what the pirates started? This is Captain Zura Okonkwo of the human vessel Defiant Hope, she replied. We receive your distress call. We're here to get you out. There was a long pause before Thara Teldan responded. Captain Okonkwo, I am reading 6 enemy vessels converging on your position. Your ship appears to be alone. This is suicide. Let's worry about the tactical situation, Zara said. Are your people ready for emergency evacuation? We have wounded who cannot be moved without medical support. We have juveniles who are terrified. And we have information that you need to hear before you commit your crew to this battle. Zara frowned. What information? The Draktar are not just random pirates, Captain. They are operating under contract. Someone paid them to destroy our convoy and to eliminate any rescue attempts. This is not a raid. It is an assassination mission. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Someone had specifically targeted the Kethani refugees and had anticipated that someone might try to rescue them. This wasn't just a criminal operation. It was a coordinated attack designed to send a message. Who would want to kill refugees? Park asked. Someone who doesn't want the Kethani civil war to end, Zara replied grimly. Someone who profits from the chaos. She activated the communication channel again. Thrateldan, we're going to get you out of here. But first, we need to deal with our uninvited guests. Captain, Singh interrupted urgently. The Draktar ships are moving to attack formation. The 3 original vessels are taking position to guard the survivor locations, while the 3 new arrivals are moving to intercept us. Zara studied the tactical display, her mind racing through options. 6 enemy vessels against 1 human ship. Terrible odds by any mathematical calculation. But mathematics didn't account for human stubbornness, and it certainly didn't account for the tactical advantages that came from fighting an enemy that underestimated you. Sergeant Major Rodriguez, report to the bridge, she ordered. Within minutes, the grizzled Marine commander stepped onto the bridge, his combat armor already sealed and his weapons checked. Rodriguez had fought in some of the nastiest conflicts in human space, and his scarred face showed every year of it. You wanted to see me, Captain? Sergeant Major, I need your Marines ready for an impossible mission. We're going to conduct simultaneous boarding operations against multiple enemy vessels while under heavy fire. Rodriguez grinned, showing teeth that had been replaced with military-grade ceramics after a particularly brutal campaign on Proxima Centauri. Sounds like a Tuesday, ma'am. What's the plan? We're going to use our reputation against them, Zara explained. Every species in the galaxy thinks humans are crazy enough to try anything. Today, we're going to prove them right. She turned to address the bridge crew. The Draktar are expecting us to either run away or try to fight them ship to ship. Instead, we're going to do what no civilized species would ever attempt. We're going to ram through their formation and board their vessels while they're still reeling from the impact. Park stared at her. Captain, ramming maneuvers at combat speed could destroy us along with them. Not if we do it right, Zara replied. Singh, I need precise calculations. Can our shields and hull integrity handle glancing impacts with enemy vessels? Singh's fingers flew over his console, running impact simulations. Theoretically possible, Captain, but the margin for error is essentially 0. We need perfect timing, perfect positioning, and a lot of luck. Good thing humans are known for making our own luck, Rodriguez said cheerfully. My Marines are ready, Captain. Just tell us which ships to take. Zara pointed to the tactical display. The 3 ships guarding the survivors are our primary targets. If we can eliminate or capture them, we can extract the Kethani and get out before the other 3 ships can respond effectively. And the other 3 enemy vessels? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. She activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to attempt a maneuver that violates several basic principles of space combat. We will be conducting ramming attacks, followed by boarding operations against multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. She paused, letting that sink in. I know this sounds insane. The enemy thinks it's insane too, which is exactly why it might work. All departments, prepare for extreme combat maneuvers. Marines, prepare for immediate deployment upon contact with enemy vessels. Medical teams, prepare for massive casualties. The Defiant Hope accelerated out of the debris field like a bullet fired from a railgun. Her engines roared to full power, and her forward shields strengthened to maximum intensity. On the main view screen, the three Draktar vessels grew rapidly larger as they scrambled to respond to the human ship's suicidal charge. They're targeting us, Captain, Park reported. All three ships are firing. Evasive maneuvers, Zara ordered. But maintain course toward the lead vessel. The ship shook under the impact of enemy fire, but the human engineers had built her tough. Plasma bolts and fusion torpedoes exploded against the shields, sending shockwaves through the hull, but the Defiant Hope kept coming. Distance to target? 5,000 kilometers, and closing fast, Captain. Marines, prepare for deployment. All hands, brace for impact. The lead Draktar vessel, a massive cruiser bristling with weapons, loomed ahead of them like a metallic mountain. Its captain was probably screaming orders to destroy the insane human ship before it could reach them, but the Defiant Hope was moving too fast and maneuvering too erratically for effective targeting. 3,000 kilometers. 2,000. 1,000. At the last possible second, Zara ordered a sharp turn to port. The Defiant Hope scraped along the Draktar cruiser's hull with a grinding roar that echoed through both ships. Instantly, Rodriguez and his Marines deployed through the hull breach, their magnetic boots and atmospheric suits allowing them to fight in a vacuum between the vessels. Boarding successful, Rodriguez reported over the communication system. Marines are engaging enemy crew. Heavy resistance, but we're advancing. But Zara wasn't finished. As the Defiant Hope cleared the first vessel, she ordered an immediate turn toward the second Draktar ship. This one was smaller, an assault frigate, but its crew had seen what happened to their companion vessel, and were ready. Incoming missiles, Captain. Intercept them, Zara ordered calmly. All batteries, return fire. The space between the ships erupted in a deadly light show of weapons fire. The frigate's missiles exploded against the human ship's point defense systems, while the Defiant Hope's plasma cannons tore into the enemy vessel's shields. Their shields are down, Captain. Ramming speed. This time, the impact was more controlled. The Defiant Hope struck the frigate amidships, breaching its hull and allowing a second team of Marines to board. Within minutes, Rodriguez was reporting success on both vessels. 2 ships secured, Captain. Enemy crews are surrendering or eliminating themselves rather than face capture. These aren't just pirates, they're fanatics. Understood. What about the third vessel? The third Draktar ship, another frigate, had wisely moved away from the combat zone and was calling for reinforcement from the 3 vessels approaching from the outer system. Its captain had learned from his companion's fate and wasn't going to risk a close encounter with a clearly insane human ship. They're maintaining distance and trying to target the survivors, Captain, Park reported. Zara smiled coldly. Then, we'll have to get creative. Singh, can you calculate a trajectory that takes us through the debris field to approach them from their blind spot? Working on it now, Captain. Yes, it's possible, but we'd have to navigate through some extremely dense wreckage fields. Do it. As the Defiant Hope began its complex approach through the debris field, Zara opened a channel to Tharatel Dan. We've neutralized 2/3 of the immediate threat. Prepare your people for evacuation. We'll have transporter locks on your position in 10 minutes. Captain Okonkwo, the Kithanese survivor, replied, "What you have done here today will be remembered by my people for generations." We had lost hope that anyone in the galaxy still possessed the courage to stand against such odds. We're not done yet, Zara said grimly, watching as the 3 remaining Draktar vessels closed in on their position. The real fight is just beginning. The evacuation of the Kithanese survivors proceeded with military precision despite the chaos surrounding them. Captain Zara Okonkwo watched the transporter readings as 40 frightened refugees materialized in the Defiant Hope's cargo bays, many of them wounded, all of them traumatized by watching their convoy destroyed before their eyes. Last group is aboard, Captain, reported the transporter chief. Medical teams are already treating the wounded. Excellent. Now let's deal with our remaining problems. The tactical display showed a grim situation. 3 Draktar vessels were approaching fast, 2 heavy cruisers, and a battleship that dwarfed anything in a human fleet. The 3rd frigate that had avoided the initial ramming attacks was still operational and moving to join them. Against this force, the Defiant Hope looked pitifully outgunned. Captain, Commander Park said quietly, we've accomplished the mission. The survivors are safe. We could withdraw now and call this a victory. Zara studied the display, her jaw set in a hard line. Number 1. What happens to those 2 captured Draktar vessels if we leave? The approaching ships will either recapture them or destroy them to prevent intelligence leaks. And what happens to Sergeant Major Rodriguez and the 40 Marines still aboard those vessels? Park's expression darkened. They'll be captured or killed, Captain. Then, we're not leaving. She activated the communication system. Rodriguez, report. The Sergeant Major's voice crackled over the intercom from the captured cruiser. We've got control of the bridge and engineering, Captain. The crew fought to the death rather than surrender, but we've captured their computer systems intact. You're not going to believe what we found. Tell me, these ships aren't just operating under contract, ma'am. They're being funded by the Valerian Defense Ministry. The same Valerian cruisers that claimed mechanical difficulties when the distress call went out. They were ordered to stay away so the Draktar could complete their mission. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Valorians were one of the founding members of the Galactic Council, supposedly dedicated to peace and interspecies cooperation. The idea that they were secretly funding pirate operations was staggering. There's more, Captain, Rodriguez continued. The target wasn't just any group of Kethani refugees. These were political leaders, scientists, and military commanders fleeing their civil war. Someone wanted to make sure they never reached human space to request assistance. Zara felt a cold fury building in her chest. The galaxy's civilized species weren't just content to let others handle the dirty work. They were actively sabotaging rescue efforts to maintain their own political interests. Captain, Singh interrupted urgently. The enemy battleship is launching fighters. 20 small craft, moving to attack formation. How long until the main force reaches us? 12 minutes, Captain. 12 minutes to extract our Marines and escape, or 12 minutes to prepare for a battle against impossible odds. Zara looked around the bridge at her crew, men and women who had followed her into hell repeatedly, who trusted her judgment even when that judgment led them into situations that no sane military commander would attempt. Options, number 1. Park consulted his tactical display. We could try to fight our way out using the captured ships as support. 2 ships against 4 are better odds than 1 against 4. What about the fighters? That's the problem. 20 fighters can overwhelm our point defenses while the capital ships close for the kill. Zara smiled grimly. Then, we'll have to even those odds. Singh, can you patch me through to the captured vessels? Already working on it, Captain. Within moments, Rodriguez's voice came through clearly from both captured ships. We've got basic systems operational, Captain. The Draktar didn't have time to lock us out of their weapon systems. Can you target the incoming fighters? Affirmative, ma'am. These ships have excellent point defense arrays. Give us a firing solution, and we'll turn those fighters into space debris. Do it. The next few minutes turn the space around Kepler 442's 3rd planet into a deadly light show. The captured Draktar vessels, now crewed by human Marines with a very personal grudge against their former captors, opened fire on the approaching fighter squadrons with devastating effect. Their intimate knowledge of Draktar tactics and weapon systems proved invaluable. Within minutes, half the enemy fighters were destroyed or fleeing. But the main force was still approaching, and no amount of tactical brilliance could overcome the simple mathematics of firepower. 3 capital ships against 1, with the Defiant Hope already damaged from the earlier ramming attacks. Captain, Park said grimly, we need to consider our options. The battleship alone outguns us 3-1. Understood. Zara activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. In approximately 8 minutes, we will be engaged by a superior enemy force. We have successfully rescued the Kethani survivors and captured valuable intelligence about enemy operations. Our mission is complete. She paused, choosing her words carefully. However, if we withdraw now, we leave 40 of our Marines to certain death or capture. We also allow the enemy to recover evidence of their illegal operations. I am therefore asking for volunteers to remain and continue the fight. The response was immediate and unanimous. From engineering, we're with you, Captain. From the medical bay, standing ready. From every department, the same message. They weren't abandoning their comrades. Very well, Zara said, her voice thick with emotion. Let's show these bastards what happens when you underestimate humanity. The first salvo from the Draktar battleship struck the Defiant Hope like the fist of an angry god. The ship shuddered under the impact, her shields flaring and failing as massive plasma bolts tore into her hull. Emergency alerts screamed across the bridge as damage reports flooded in. Forward shields down to 30%, Park reported. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 9. Engineering is reporting power fluctuations. Return fire. All batteries. The human ship's weapons lanced out toward the enemy formation, joined by fire from the captured vessels. For a brief moment, it looked like they might actually hold their own. Then, the second Draktar cruiser joined the battle, and the odds became overwhelming. Captain, Singh said desperately, we're not going to last another minute at this rate. Zara was about to order a fighting retreat when something impossible appeared on the tactical display. Ships were dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Not Draktar reinforcements, but vessels she'd never expected to see. Captain, Singh reported in amazement, I'm reading 7 ships. 4 Kithani military vessels, 2 crystalline heavy cruisers, and... He paused, checking his readings twice. 1 Valerian battleship, but it's broadcasting human military codes. Commander Park stared at his display. That's the Righteous Fury, Captain. She's under the command of Admiral Sarah Chun. Zara felt a surge of hope. Admiral Chun was one of the most respected commanders in the human fleet, known for her aggressive tactics and her refusal to abandon allies in combat. But what was she doing here with a mixed force of alien vessels? The communication system crackled to life with a familiar voice. Captain Okonkwo, this is Admiral Chun aboard the Righteous Fury. Sorry we're late to the party. We came as soon as we received the Kethani distress relays. Admiral, how did you... The Kethani have been broadcasting updates of your battle across their communication networks, Captain. Your rescue operation has been watched by half the galaxy, including some of us who got tired of sitting on the sidelines. The newly arrived ships moved into attack formation with practiced efficiency. The Kethani vessels, sleek and fast, moved to engage the remaining fighters while the crystalline cruisers targeted the Draktar frigates. The Righteous Fury, her guns already charging, made straight for the enemy battleship. All vessels, this is Admiral Chun. You are ordered to surrender immediately or face the consequences of attacking civilian refugees under the protection of the Galactic Emergency Rescue Protocol. The Draktar commander's response was a concentrated barrage aimed at the Defiant Hope. It was the wrong choice. What followed was less a battle than an execution. The combined human and allied fleet tore through the Draktar formation with ruthless efficiency. The enemy ships, designed for raiding defenseless targets, couldn't stand against coordinated military action. Within 20 minutes, it was over. The Draktar battleship drifted dead in space. Her crew either surrendered or eliminated. The surviving frigates attempted to flee, but were run down by the faster Kethani vessels. As the battle ended, Zara found herself staring at the communication display showing Admiral Chen's weathered face. Admiral, I have to ask, how did you convince the Crystalline and the Valorians to join this operation? Chen smiled grimly. The Crystalline came on their own, Captain. Seems they were disgusted by their merchant vessel's refusal to respond to the distress call. As for the Valorians, her expression hardened. Let's just say that when evidence of their defense ministry's involvement in this operation reached certain political factions, some very rapid career changes occurred. The new defense minister was quite eager to prove his commitment to galactic peace. Over the next several hours, the truth of the operation became clear. The Kethani refugees weren't just fleeing their civil war. They were carrying evidence of war crimes committed by various Galactic Council members who had been secretly funding both sides of the conflict for profit. The Draktar attack had been a desperate attempt to silence them permanently. But the plan had backfired spectacularly. Instead of eliminating the witnesses, the attack had created martyrs. The footage of the Defiant Hope's rescue operation, broadcast across Kethani networks and picked up by news services throughout the galaxy, sparked outrage among countless species. Captain Okonkwo Thrateldan said during the debriefing, "When we sent out that distress call, we expected to die alone and forgotten. Instead, your brutal humans have given my people something we thought we had lost, hope." Zara looked out at the stars, thinking about the 17 ships that had ignored the original distress call and the mixed fleet that had finally responded. Maybe the galaxy is starting to remember what those emergency protocols are really for. "What happens now?" asked Commander Park. "Now we deliver these survivors to safety, turn over our evidence to the proper authorities, and let the galaxy decide whether it wants to continue tolerating the kind of corruption that makes operations like this possible." Admiral Chen's voice came over the communications system one final time. "All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump to New Geneva Station. Let's go home." As the fleet prepared to depart, Zara reflected on the day's events. The galaxy had called humans brutal for responding to a distress call that everyone else ignored. They had called human tactics insane for attempting impossible rescue operations against overwhelming odds. But as the rescued Kethani children played in the cargo holds, and their parents spoke of rebuilding their lives in safety, Zara realized she could live with the galaxy's opinion of human brutality. Because sometimes, when civilization failed to act, the galaxy needed someone willing to be brutal enough to do what was right. The Defiant Hope jumped to hyperspace, carrying her crew toward home and toward a galaxy that was slowly learning the difference between brutal and evil.